What are the main principles of armed forces, law in armed conflict? In recent news, the principles of armed forces law in armed conflict have gained attention, especially as global conflicts continue to unfold. Many people are searching for clarity on how international humanitarian law applies in these situations. Understanding these principles is essential for anyone interested in current events and human rights. The main principles of armed forces law stem from international humanitarian law, including the Geneva Conventions and the laws of armed conflict. These laws aim to regulate conduct during hostilities and protect civilians. One key principle is distinction. Armed forces must always differentiate between combatants and civilians. Attacks should target only legitimate military objectives, avoiding harm to non-combatants. This principle is vital for minimizing civilian casualties. Another important principle is proportionality. When attacking military targets, the harm to civilians and civilian property must not be excessive compared to the military advantage gained. This principle balances military needs with humanitarian concerns. Necessity is also a fundamental principle. Military actions must be necessary to achieve a legitimate military objective. Any unnecessary suffering or destruction that does not contribute to the goal is prohibited. The principle of humanity requires parties in conflict to avoid causing unnecessary suffering. All individuals, including wounded soldiers and civilians, must be treated humanely. This is a core tenet of the Geneva Conventions. Protection of civilians and civilian objects is critical. Civilians, hospitals, schools, and humanitarian organizations must be safeguarded from attacks. This includes ensuring access to humanitarian aid and not using civilians as shields. Collective punishment is strictly prohibited. Punishing a civilian population for the actions of combatants violates the Fourth Geneva Convention and is classified as a war crime. Finally, respect for the United Nations Charter is essential. The use of force must comply with this charter, allowing armed force only in self-defense or when authorized by the United Nations Security Council. Preemptive self-defense is highly restricted under international law. These principles guide the lawful conduct of armed forces during conflict, aiming to limit suffering and protect those not participating in hostilities. Violations can lead to serious consequences, including war crimes and international accountability. Understanding these principles is increasingly relevant as conflicts evolve and humanitarian issues come to the forefront of global discussions.